guess it's basketball season.
We can just open it up for questions. I know we got the mics here on the center, but if you need one on the outside, just let us know.
Kenny, what are you allowed to do with the players this time of year, and what do you see as the benefits of what you're allowed to do?
Great question to start off with because we Thursday finish our summer workouts, and we go 8 hours a week, and we got a lot accomplished. But it's a step better. We're headed a step better or two in the right direction with this program. We have a bunch of players that are pretty good basketball players, and my hope and goal is that when you guys look at them, they pass the eye test. That's the first order of business for me, the eye test. Meaning that you can tell that this program has taken a big jump. And so I feel like we established the way we want to play. We did no defense, mostly offense, a lot of skill work to get them to understand this is the way we want to play, the tempo we want to play with. The conditioning is vital to what we do. The things that we did in strength and conditioning, vital to where we want to make each single player better. So I feel pretty good about how we leaving this summer.
Kenny, why haven't we heard from you? Is there a reason? I mean, do you feel like you want to see some stuff on the court before you talk? Kind of.
Well, one thing I cannot do is I can't hype it up because it's unfair to these kids. Listen, this is a hard job, and it's been a lot of years of hurt from a lot of people. And in order to fix this, to be honest with you, I need to hunker down and get to work on fixing this program and bringing the type of kids that need to be in this program instead of being accessible to reporters for interviews. I got to grind, and that's just the reality of it. And I lost every game last year. So I got work to do, if you understand what I'm saying.
Coach, given the talent you brought in for the upcoming season, how much pressure are you feeling to produce results more in line with the baseline traditions of Louisville basketball, i.e. making the tournament and finishing the top half of the ACC?
Great question. I cannot, in my mind, allow you to take that question to NCAA tournaments, to a number of wins. Listen, elephant in the room, guys. I know we got to win games. Every single time we take the floor, our job is to win games. But I am building a program. I am changing a culture. And in order to do that, I got to first get them to understand the process of winning. That's more important than, to be honest with you, just saying, let's just win this game. If I bring 9 new guys in this program and I only talk about wins and losses and not the process, how can I, in my mind, have sustained success? That's what it is.
Is that different from this time last season? Like, did you feel like you had to emphasize the process last year?
No question. I didn't know, to answer your question, how many games we will win. But I did know that if we don't know how to defend, if we don't know how to pass the basketball, if we don't know what togetherness is, if we don't have chemistry, how can we ever talk about winning? That's a part of the process. So I'm establishing a culture, trying to build chemistry amongst young people who don't know each other, or kids that are coming from hard situations that's been in the program. To be honest, and we talked about this last year, and you know about this, that believed there was a black cloud over the program. Young people believed there was a black cloud over this program. Well, how do you get them out of that mindset? That's a big part of what I had to deal with.
How was it for you getting out of that mindset? I mean, there was a lot of urgency when you came in March and had to talk guys into sticking around and trying to convince guys to come here. How has it slowed down for you?
hadn't slowed down. It's changed a little bit. You know, last year I inherited a bunch of guys, and there was a cloud. I ain't gonna say a black cloud. That cloud was a ruling from the NCAA. That's no longer here. And like I said to start off with, I believe we've made a big step in the right direction, bringing the type of players that we need to have in this program. Now it becomes we got to educate them on how to be one, how to be together. Have to educate them on what Louisville basketball is, truly what Louisville basketball is. And to be honest with you, 2-3 nights ago, the first game that the TBT event was happening, we went to the game, and they could see fans cheering for hustle plays, cheering for guys that were older, cheering for guys playing unselfishly. And we came back the next day, and I had our video guys break down the clips of those games. Look at how they played. Even though they're older, they're good basketball players, and look how the fans responded to them. That's what this program is built on. Look at how many people was at that game. And to be honest with you, some of them were shocked. They never imagined there would be 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, whatever was there, those fans were there supporting former U of L basketball players.
Can you talk about to bringing in so many new players? There's one that's still a lot of questions about Tyler. Can you just speak about where things stand with him?
But we're still waiting on the process to get finished. Feel good about it, but we'll see when it's done.
Kenny, as far as last year, you told a story about a passing drill you did with the guys that it just took them hours to get it figured out. As far as with this year's group, what have you seen in workouts that tells you that this program is taking the step in the right direction and you have the type of guys that you want?
Great question. One, let's say the passing drill took 3 months for it to be precise or close to our 80%. This group, it took 3 days to be able to understand spacing, moving, passing, meeting passes, playing together, cutting hard. They just have a better feel right now than the group before.
Coach, you're obviously aware by your comments earlier that the fan base, a lot of the fan base has a wait and show me attitude, which is, it would seem, would translate to the number of people in the seats. Is that something that you will address with your team as the season approaches, or how will you deal with that, if at all?
Well, I think, first of all, you know, our guys already know that if you win, people going to show up. I think they already know that this program has a very good fan base. And, you know, we did some stuff with ticket season holders, and they got to meet our players a little bit, and the players said it. When even though we won 4 games, there were nights when you guys came and we were shocked at how you cheered us on. We embraced that. We need you. So they understand what that is. Of course, we want to take it to another level. We want the arena filled. We want players in the community and the fans to all support this group. But I think the first part of supporting them is seeing them trying to be a winning product, without saying you have to be a winning product first. The process of making it look different, making it feel different, playing together, fighting against good teams. And it's looking like this program is moving. I think people will follow that because they'll see the vision and they'll see where this is headed.
Is that a hard thing for you to do, though, when you say you don't want to hype them up, but yet you have to do some of that, correct? I mean, is that not difficult for you as a coach to walk that line?
Well, the difficult part for me is the process. Guys, we can't win if we don't play together. The process. You have to be connected. 1 through 15, you have to be connected. When you step on the court, you can't say, I don't feel good today, so I don't have to perform at a certain level. you have to perform at a certain level every single time you step on that court. You're at one of the most prestigious programs in the country that's built on success. Built on success. So the fact that you've never really felt it before, and you've been able, because of whatever reasons, high school, AAU, pickup ball, there's a falseness about winning and losing. Well, you're in college basketball at a top program. Winning matters. But also with winning matters, there's something that comes before that. There's a process to winning. How you train individually. How you train as a team. Do you pick your teammates up? When they miss a shot, do you get down on them? All those things go apart to winning, and they need to understand that. And that sort of takes care of the pressure.
Kenny, you talk about building a program, establishing a culture with so many new guys. Is there anything from last year that actually carries over, or are you almost starting completely from scratch with this group?
No, I think there are things that carry over. I think that, I'm still emphasizing passing the basketball. The philosophy doesn't change. The fact that we didn't have the success that we wanted to have last year, well, we should be better this year. We have to be better this year. I understand that. So I'm not scrapping what I was doing. What I'm doing is saying I brought in maybe a better product and more of a better product.
Is there anything you'd say was a particular takeaway from a year ago, or anything you wish you maybe would have done differently right off the bat?
The biggest takeaway for me, and this may make sense and it may not, a lot of people talk about leadership, but they are talking about it from a standpoint of success. Until you experience failure, how can you really talk about leadership? So for me, every single day, I walked away saying I did not cheat one kid. I did not cheat this program. I pushed, I pried, I fought, I scratched, I hugged. I loved these kids every single day. That's hard to go in and say, guys, I believe we're winning this game. Do you believe? That's hard because you see it in their face that maybe they don't believe. They don't believe they have what it takes to fight through to get a win. Well, you have to try your best to instill that in them, and you give it your all and you see what happens. So maybe that makes sense to you, but for me the biggest thing is leadership isn't when you're winning and everything's hunky-dory and everybody's looking at you. I want people to look at me and say, which some people have said, I watched you, your press conference, I watched you in the beginning of the season, I watched you in the middle of your message never changed. And it didn't. It never changed, no matter what people were saying. I knew in my heart what I was trying to do.
Kind of going off that question, when you think about the guys who have stayed from last year's team, how have you seen them take the next step as leaders after, like you said, hitting rock bottom?
Let's take each individual guy. So Brandon Hatfield texted me this morning at 8:30, 9 o'clock, KP, I'm 8% body fat. I'm ecstatic. Now he understands. I probably played basketball 15, 20% body fat, 12%. Now I'm below 10. I love that. That means he's understanding what I'm trying to do. First, Mike James. Mike James has came in and I can play him at the 1, 2, 3, or 4. How about that? He has worked so hard on his ball handling, on his shooting, that I can put him all over the court now and he'd be comfortable. I like that. And his ability to lead when he's never been in a position in college to lead. Now he's vocal. Now he's dragging guys along and telling guys, stay away from this. We can't do this. We got to eat right. We got to train right. Go harder. That's leadership. Emmanuel came in here and it was like a fish out of water. He was trying to just see what this is, college basketball. And then he worked hard. He has his injuries. It was a setback. And then he worked hard in this summer and he goes to Canada and he performs. And people look at him and say, wow. The people from NBA Africa say, wow, he's gotten better. I like that. JJ, no longer am I watching him hold his head down when he misses a shot. I'm watching him now have the confidence to get past it, to just play basketball, knowing that his success is predicated on how he digests energy. Energy. I got to give energy every single second. So my son, Zan, struggled with conditioning. Today he passed the conditioning test. In the conditioning test, to be honest with you, impossible. So he passed it. Every guy passed it before him, but he passed the conditioning test, picks up the phone this evening and said, Dad, you said I wasn't going to make it through. I made the conditioning test. So I'm watching the guys that were here, me set a standard, and they all have embraced it and gotten better.
You talked about the message being the same throughout last year. How has your mood changed? Are you sleeping better? Are you easier to be around? You kicking the dog? I mean, what happens when you see progress?
My wife and daughter would say I'm still grumpy. But great question, man. I don't know. It got to be the people around me. Sometimes I do have to check myself because I have become a little short-patient. Because, listen, this thing was not, I didn't inherit a product that was fixed. I inherited something that was broken, or I wouldn't have never got the job, right? We all understand that, right? Hopefully. So that comes with stress. The stress of building something, the stress of inspiring young people, the stress of, hopefully you guys understand, I played here. I played at this school. I know what this is. And when it's not fixed, I represent more than just me. I represent every player that's ever worn that jersey. I represent this community, the black community, the business community. I represent this community. So there's pressure with this that I feel that sometimes gets overlooked because you can say he's just the head coach of Louisville basketball. No, not for me. That's not what I inherited. That's not what this is. For me, this is, I give this my all, my heart, because I don't want to let any of you guys down. I know what this looks like when it's fixed. I know what it looks like when you see a winning product, a winning program, and everybody's happy, fans, media people, supporters, communities. I understand that. That's pressure. So obviously I'm going to have good days, and when a kid's not doing what I need them to do, or a team is not doing what I need them to do, I'm going to have bad days.
Kenny, obviously for you guys to get better, the new guys coming in are going to have to be big contributors. Can you talk about the 7, 8, how many new guys there are and what you've seen from them and what you like?
I like the fact that they are in the gym, gym rats, work ethic, across the board. They all are unbelievable in the gym and focused. I like the fact that they listen, and I'm constantly talking about the ability to listen and apply. I like the fact that they bring something different. I have a bunch of players that are versatile. I got a situation where I could put Trey White, Trenton Flowers, D'Lo, Curtis Williams. I mean, guys, like, when you have the ability to have wings that are between 6'5" and 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", and there's 5 or 6 of them, it looks different. And they're hungry, and they're versatile, and they compete. Now, sometimes they lose their mind a little bit when they're playing against each other, because you look to your left, you look to your right, guess what? I'm not head and shoulders better than this guy. I look to my right and I say, oh my God, he's just as good as me. If I don't play well, coach is going to see me get whipped. That's what's happening in our practices.
About recruiting, what's the perception you think of this program now? I mean, most of the people here have seen it be successful, but Louisville hasn't won an NCAA tournament game since 2017. The stuff happens pretty fast in the world right now. For kids, what do they think of Louisville basketball?
I think that, again, it's probably not talked about as much as it should be, and I'm glad of that. The fact that we had a top 5, 10 recruiting class, and we won 4 games. Let me say that again. We won 4 games, and a lot of really talented kids chose us and trusted us to come here. That says a lot about this program. The staff has done a great job. I think people know that what we're trying to do. People know that we are not just interested in one side of it. We have to know what motivates kids. Why would you come to Louisville? Well, hopefully they tell us, this is what I'm trying to do with this basketball. This is how I'm making my decision. And then we say, okay, great. We'll help you do this, and we have a partnership. But if we just make it about Louisville and not about you as a young man, you're not coming with us. Let me say that again so everybody fully understands what I'm saying. I want Louisville to win a championship, but I never talk about what I want for you as a player. And I never ask you what you want as a player, or mom and dad. Why in the world would you ever go to my school? You're not. They're not going to come. They need to know that I'm invested in them and that they're going to be invested in what we're trying to do here. And I think we've done a good job of educating families on what this program is and how we're going to help them.
Kenny, what have you seen out of Sky Clark this summer that gives you the confidence in him to be a floor general and be that point guard that you want, a pass-first guy?
Very talented, very skilled, doesn't get rushed, doesn't allow anything to knock him off kilter, stays even keel, flatline, poised, can shoot it, can handle it, can defend, mentally tough. But my message to him has been, I don't want to see you when you're playing well. I can't evaluate you then. I know what it looks like just watching you train. I need to see what it's like when it's not perfect. How are you going to handle adversity? Because adversity is going to come. How are you going to lead when the team is headed in the wrong direction? You have to lift us back up. You have to be that energy bus. And so he's embraced that role. He's been vocal. He's done everything that I've asked him to do, and I'm happy he's here. And he's a good basketball player.
Earlier this month, the rules changed with the coaching, and you can have more. Can you update us on your staff? Did you elevate or hire someone? Where's that stand?
So we're in the process of figuring it completely out, but I'm going to say this to you. I have a staff and a support staff of guys that are really high-level basketball guys. So some of this I can do from within, and I may end up doing that from within. And I'm comfortable with that. So I hadn't completely made my mind up yet how I'm going to do it, but I have a good idea.
Ken?
Experience of last season, because I'm assuming since you've been playing basketball as a toddler, you've never had an experience quite like last season. In what ways do you feel like it's changed you in your approaches?
One, I listened to a bunch of different coaches, and there are things about this profession that people forget. Jay Wright, for example. So, Kenny, I won 4 games my first year, something like that, 7 games. Larry Brown. Kenny, I didn't win my first. Things, in order to become great in this profession or perceived great, they all went through something. They all had failures. They all didn't. Because winning ain't just me. I'm not shooting the basketball. I just got to put a product and put guys in positions to win. I can't play for them, right? So what I take away from this is that I'm stronger as a person. You have to have faith in what you're doing. You got to be about young people, not just about yourself. Because if there's a disconnect between a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid and a 56-year-old man, you'll never be on the same page and they'll never trust you. you can't win without trust. They have to trust everything that comes out my mouth. I've learned that this past year. In some ways, I think I needed it. I needed to go through it because I've never really experienced losing like that. I never really experienced trying to help kids that were broken, and broken meaning that lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem at times, that didn't believe. So it was good for me, and I'm glad I went through it early, so that now I'm prepared for it. They all reached out. I mean, I can go down the list of the coaches that have reached out to me and talked about, I'm watching what you're doing the right things. Kenny, some of this, like, it's not on you, it's just the situation that you're in, but just know that you're not the only coach that's been through this. We all have been through it.
Coach, you talked a lot about the process and what you have to do with that process, but at the end of the day, programs are assessed through wins. How do you plan to blend that process and turn those into wins?
Again, I believe the process helps you win, not just winning. So do you want me to win and cheat to get players? I hope you don't. Do you want me to win and a lot of kids to get them here? I hope you don't. Because then you can win for a year and you'll lose a year. I don't want to win that way. I want this program to be good every single year. And in order to do that, the process of telling kids the truth, the process of working kids harder than they've ever worked in their life so that they appreciate the work ethic, the process of doing everything in this program that's needed so that they feel good about being at Louisville, from the way we eat to where they sleep to how we train to the truth that we tell them, to making them play basketball and work on their games in a way that they never even thought about before. Then I believe when you get that first, that's called development, and you bring them together and say, okay, the last part of winning is be one. Be just as much about the teammate as you are about yourself. Then we win. And that's where we're trying to get to.
Kenny, what have you seen from Caleb Glenn so far since he's been here?
Caleb Glenn, obviously Kentucky kid, Louisville kid, a little bit behind in the perimeter stuff because he's been bigger, stronger, and we played him around the basket. Natural. Now he's having to learn to be on the perimeter. And at 6'6", 6'7", you can't just think that you can catch the ball from 5 feet and score over 7-footers, 6'10" guys. So I'm asking him to embrace being uncomfortable, being on the perimeter, and he's done a great job. He plays hard. He should be a great defender and bring great energy. He has gotten better since he's been here.
Someone else that's new is Dennis. What have you seen from him so far as he's gotten here? And you've kind of spoke about it when he was signed. You said there's no potential, or you said something along the lines of there's no limit to how good he can be. After you've spent a few months with him, can you just kind of take me through what you've seen?
Great personality, unbelievable work ethic, probably the most unique player on our team. 7'1", very thin, elite shot blocker, but has a really good touch. And so the game isn't going to slow down for him. He has to adjust to the game. Today's basketball games are fast, moving. He can't be behind the action because if he is, he'll find himself reacting. I want him to anticipate and act first. So he's gotten better. He's gotten stronger. Still has a long way to go with those areas. His conditioning has gotten better, but he still has a long way to go. But he's a unique basketball player, a unique shot blocker with unique length to go with an unbelievable touch around the basket. And he can shoot jump shots.
Coach, what lessons have you learned as a coach from last year regarding tactics, strategy, in-game decisions? decision-making, I'm sure you've contemplated that, and what do you take from last year's experience that you're going to change or apply forward?
I just think that, when it comes to trying to figure out the strategy of a game, you think about what you have. So, for example, I've heard people say, well, they played man, and then they went to zone, then they press. He's doing a little bit of everything. I had to. So I would go back and watch film and say, okay, Boston College, why did we go zone? Let me look at it. I would go look at the game, and I see that they picked on one or two guys every single possession. Well, those one or two guys were guys that I needed on the court. Well, how do I protect them? I go zone. Just things like that, that from the outside looking in, you could say and be critical of, well, he's doing a little bit of everything, but why am I doing it? I'm doing it to keep my best players on the court, and I'm watching a bunch of film, and the staff is watching a bunch of film. How do we come up with strategies that help us win ball games? And I'm not the coach that's going to be uncomfortable trying new things. I'm not that guy. Whatever it takes to win, I want to do. And then we'll figure it out. We got to get better man-to-man defense. We'll figure that out at practice and go from there.
Because you talked about that you need to win games. You talked about the process. You've got all these newcomers. How do you build a schedule? What was your philosophy in building a schedule to try to take all these things into account?
Well, I think, last year we inherited the players, but we also inherited a schedule that was daunting. Now I feel like it's the first step where we can have our imprint on a schedule. It wasn't done before we got here. I think we have a competitive schedule. I think that's important that we play competitive teams that are really good, but it's also important that we play teams where we learn about ourselves. I think we have a good mix of both, but I also feel like it's only a good mix if the players digest it a certain way. So many times we worry if we do schedules based on TV and money and this and that, but that's not important. How do these players digest what they've been handed, the schedule that they've been handed? So I think we've done a good job with that.
Ken, is there any criticism in year and change on the job that you feel like's particularly been unfair about you?
To be honest with you, I don't even know who's criticized or what's been criticized. I really don't even dwell in it. I try to focus on the young guys, the players, helping them get better. Again, if someone got criticisms of me, please give them to me. I'll work on them. I don't take it personal. I'm all about doing the right things. So I can't sit here and say that I listen to every piece of criticism. I don't.
You mentioned the impact that the game the other night had on the players, the game in Freedom Hall. What kind of impact did that have on you? What was it like to sit there, watch that crowd? I know, did you mention maybe on the TV you might look into playing a game there? Dudas might wince at this, but there's a lot of moving parts to that, but could that happen?
During the first half of the game, Josh Hurd came over and was like, Kenny, we may need to think about playing a game here. This is an unbelievable venue, unbelievable environment. Look at how happy these fans are. And for me, it was probably one of my first times being back in the arena, and it brought back a bunch of memories of how competitive the games were, how supportive the fans were, and just what it felt like to run down the ramp onto the court, what it felt like the darkness of the arena, and to see the softness of the rims. There's a lot of little things that, when you compare, like, the Yum Center to Freedom Hall, you forget, like, Freedom Hall for me looks sort of smaller than the Yum. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize. But it held 19, whatever. It didn't look like that, even though they cut parts of it off. But so many memories. So, you can visualize sitting and being in the game and Coach Crom there, so much. Being on the court and the camaraderie that the teams had together and the way we talked to each other on the court, and then seeing how we would also take that and the swagger to go and talk trash to the other team. Doing that in Freedom Hall, it just brought back a lot of memories that it's probably one of my first time being in the arena since I left. I can't think of any other time, probably when I came back to school when they were still playing there, maybe once or twice. But being there helped me realize just how important and special that place was to so many people.
Go ahead, Jeff, and you got time for a couple more. Just, Coach, just asking about this upcoming season. Just what – I know guys are still getting to campus and you're just now getting together, but what will it take or what do you guys have to accomplish now up until the season starts to make sure, it's nothing like last year?
One, the mentality, the togetherness. I think everybody talks about, I'm good and I'm okay and we're good as a team, but then adversity hits. And when adversity hits, you see guys splinter. So it's going to happen with this group as well. But what happens when the adversity hits, and I continue to talk about it, and I keep talking about being a giver as a player. Are you going to go your own way, or are you going to buy in the team and make sure you're a piece of the glue that keeps us together? If we can be together, if we can fight together, if we can play together, if we can share, if we can take joy in each other's successes, we got a chance to be a good team. But we only can know that through adversity. We can never know that through success. We have to hit adversity as a group early so that we can grow. I understand now why Denny Crum plays so many tough games early, so that you can see yourself go through things. Maybe you win, maybe you lose, but you get to see what adversity is at an early stage so that you can learn from it.
Now that you have your guys here on the roster, what do you want to see in terms of just results? What do you want to see from your offensive and defensive philosophies?
Let's start with defense. Again, I have 13, 14 guys, right? So I went from one extreme to another extreme. The first extreme was I had to play guys that no matter what, if they didn't buy in, you had to be on the court. You were you had nowhere else to go. Now I have guys that it's 13 or 14 of them that are Division I players, that are pretty decent players. Well, how do I determine who plays and who doesn't? I have to evaluate everything. So I want them to know that defensively we have to create havoc. If we don't, and the offense controls the pace of the game, probably won't play 8, 9, 10. Probably playing 7 or 8. But if you create havoc and you control the tempo and we push it, then now I can play more numbers. So that's first. Defensively, we have to be very, very good. We have to not allow the offense to run offense and be smooth and sort of like Bellarmine did to us, to just move the ball and wait for us to make a mistake and burn us. Well, no. Now you create the situation where you're controlling the offense first. Second thing, offensively, we have to play fast. We have to get the ball up the court. We have a team that's unique in the fact that the guards, 1, 2, 3, can all post up. They all can shoot. They all can drive. I got to use that. My bigs, they can face up, but they also can be passers into the post to guards. So they can play a little bit on the perimeter and beat people off the dribble, but also be good in the post. So post action is vital. Shooting the 3, vital. But none of that matters. None of that matters if you can't pass the ball to each other. So offensively, I need a group that's a very good passing team. Then I think we have the ingredients to be a winning basketball team. Now, will we win? We'll see. They approve that. We will prove that. But it's not going to be given to us because, again, the schedule is tough enough to where we can be on our heels. But we will be a better basketball team.
Kenny, you kind of, I talked about Sky earlier, but I'm just wondering, since this is like your first brush with bringing guys in from the portal, what that experience has been like, to get people who have, they've already been in other programs to come in and now, try to join yours as well.
Great question. Sky Clark was a starter at Illinois, a starter. Trey White, a starter at USC. Probably all freshmen in that conference, Pac-12. D'Lo was on a Final Four team. So there are things that those guys bring to the table that we need. We need guys that have been starters, that are talented enough to come in this program and be starters, but also guys that come from winning programs. So all three of those guys come in with from winning situations, so they understand what it is, the sacrifices it takes to win. So I'm happy about the transfers that have came in here because of that. And they're hungry to be a part of this and to help this program get back to where it needs to be. So I'm ecstatic about that part of it.
Kenny, you spoke about some of the season ticket holder events you guys had. Considering not only what this program went through last year, but the years preceding that, do you get the sense from talking to fans that they have enough patience for the process that you are describing?
I feel like they do, but for me, I think they are thirsty for success. Does that mean that they're thirsty to win a championship? Probably. Are they thirsty? They want to see progress, right? To me, that's the way I look at it. When they talk to us about what they love about this program, it's been hurt so long, and we sometimes overlook that. It's been 4 or 5 years of constant, oh my God, what's next? I got to make sure that there's a stableness to this program, that there's not hiccups in the road, so that people know that there won't be what's next. Now the what's next is basketball and winning, not a scandal, not somebody does something stupid. There won't be that. So I think people will support if we're stable as a program, and they know we're doing the right things. They'll support us. They'll support us if the process is headed and gearing toward winning. They have to see that. Easy to say they can't see it now because we haven't played. They hadn't seen the new product yet. But I believe that they will support us when they see what we're doing.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.